Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to our September workshop, which is being held August 30th. And the town board meeting will be held on September 1st. With us tonight are councilperson Steve Bedetti, Steve Moreau, Sylvia Santiago. We also have in attendance tonight our highway superintendent, Anthony Feo, our town clerk, Leah Lager, our receiver of taxes, I see Susan Scheibel is here. Our town attorney, Dave Zagon. IT specialist, Patrick Mang. And I am George Myers. So we have about 12, 13 items on the agenda that we'll get to right now. First item on the agenda is the Clarkview sewer main. A public hearing on Wednesday regarding the increase in improvements to sewer district 17. And the next item is also the Clarkview sewer district main increase in improvements to sewer district 18. There's there's 1,398 parcels involved. And there's a 12-inch pipe, and this project's been kicking around since 2018. It's finally getting off the ground, and I think that in the next week or two, the job will start. And the rates will go down a little bit from where they are now because of a grant that we received, so there won't be any impact to those people in 17 and 18. So that public hearing will be Wednesday, that if anybody has anything that they want to speak to on that from those sewer districts, we'll be here to hear it. The next item on the agenda is this cannabis law, which is retail dispensaries.
Hi, is this a meeting for the residents?
Yeah, you just turn that chair on, you sit right there. The cannabis law, which the state has now legalized cannabis, which is marijuana. So we're required to hold a public hearing regarding retail dispensaries and on-site consumption. So we'll hear from the public on Wednesday as to what thoughts that they have regarding this issue, and then the board will kind of take a look at it and decide whether or not we're going to opt out or opt in. Once you opt out, you can always come back in. You can't go out. You can't go in and come back out. So we'll see what the public has to say. I think I've kind of been on record saying that I'm opposed to these retail dispensaries and on-site consumption. So we certainly will hear from the public as to what they have to say. Next item on the agenda tonight is the public hearing regarding filming. This is kind of a general filming. If someone's going to come into town to film something for a day or two, they have to obtain a permit. The permit's obtained from the town clerk's office. And then after it's submitted, it goes to myself, the chief of police, the building inspector, and then the final decision is by the town supervisor, but we're certainly going to include the town board and to see what their thoughts about this. So this would be the someone coming in for just a short period of time. Did I cover that pretty good there? Yeah.
So
Okay.
there was some back and forth on an email we were carbon copying with Dave. Did they satisfy all the towns?
Yeah, but that's the next.
That's the next one.
Oh, okay.
That's all right.
I know, I didn't know if you were gonna bring it up there.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
it's a little confusing.
okay.
So the second public hearing about filming has to do with the change to chapter 300, which is the town code regarding this. And this is the one that requires a special use permit from the planning board. And it's for 4 different, the AP zone, highway commercial, limited commercial, and neighborhood commercial. So this is the one that involves the buildings on Route 9W, Toyota. It's Pier 9, the bowling alley, and the boat place up the street a little bit. So we'll have this public hearing, and my thought on the public hearing, to the board members' sake, is to probably ask Ted Doring to make some type of presentation, and he'll probably, my bet would ask the folks who are going to be his tenants to make that presentation, which will be okay with me. And we'll hear what they have to say. My interest would be right away, each building, what is their plan for each building? So I think we hear them out. I've asked our building inspector, Jen Gallagher, to be here. So she'll be the one that will dealing with this on a day-to-day basis if it's approved. So I think we need to hear what they're going to say. The board members have expressed some concerns about certain issues, which we'll bring up at the public hearing. But I think the fair thing to do is let them have an opportunity to tell us what they're gonna do, and then we'll question it. And obviously, it'll be open to the public too. Anybody in the public has any questions that they would like to ask them, that's fine too. So hopefully it won't go on forever. I mean, I really am interested in what they can do in each building, and I think Scaliger has some issues, and I'm sure the board members will have some. So that's how I see that being held. Let them tell us, and then we'll go from there. And there has been, as Councilman Bedetti, back and forth, but he spoke for a while. So this is actually where the road meets the rubber. So let's see what they have to say. Okay, next item on the agenda is we did that sidewalk replacement here at Town Hall because of the poor condition that sidewalks are in, and we certainly would have been liable for some litigation if someone fell or tripped. So we replaced the sidewalks, and when we were doing the sidewalk replacement, I actually forgot about Moresco building, and someone brought that to my town, walked down there, and that needed to be replaced. So we had talked about it, $65,000, and the Moresco was about 12 or 13,000, so it got up to 80,000. But now Moresco was probably the most important thing. The more I thought about it, because that's where the senior citizens meet. So there's all new sidewalks down there, and now we have all new sidewalks around Town Hall. They finally finished the paving and the lining here in Town Hall, and it was really quite a project for us. We missed the first day because of rain, but between Norbert from McGoey House and Etzel and Building and Grounds, Keith Bedetti, myself, we fought our way through this, and now the front where we are is done. They'll be finishing the back. Keith just said he's actually gonna come in tomorrow night, 11 o'clock, and they're gonna finish the striping. They're now down at 244 Union because that was part of what we approved too. They're down there now, as we live and breathe, doing that now. So that will be done. So it really was a tough going. There was a few comments on Facebook that I saw. People were saying that, oh yeah, you're doing Town Hall out on my street. Well, the reason we have to do Town Hall is because people come and go here all the time. And it was in very poor condition, and if we had someone slip and fall or hurt themselves, we really were liable to what happened. And there is a 5-year plan, pave the entire town, and we're in the first year now. Clockview was on that plan the first year, Clockview, which is right down the street here, and that seemed to be where I was getting some complaints from. But we had to put that off until next year because of this, the first two items we talked about tonight, the Clockview sewer main project. So we couldn't very well do that and then have them come in and ruin the road again on us. So we are going to get to every road. It's just, we can't do it all in 1 year. So been speaking to the highway superintendent, and when are we gonna finish up or this paving?
Probably the first week of September.
September, we'll be done. And then we'll fast forward to next year, and then we'll start sometime in what, August, you think?
July or August, yeah.
Okay. And if anybody needs to know what road they're on a schedule for, you, we have that, right?
I have that.
Okay. And once again, these things are not written in stone because certain things come up, like Clockview came up, and we had to push it back. All right, the next item on the agenda is Christopher Romaine. He has applied for a food truck. He's a veteran, so pretty much stuck that he will be is exempt from anything. So he did put down here, the food truck will solicit various locations within Newburgh and New Windsor and at fairs. So I guess he'll be around, but being a veteran, this will be on the agenda for the board members, so I don't see how we could not approve that. Next solicitor's permit is from Fox Pest Control. And we've been wrestling with this for a while, the town attorney's office, the chief of police, and myself. And it seems like a lot of their employees are from Utah and Oregon, and we would be spending a lot of time and resources doing backgrounds. So they had started to solicit without coming to us. Then we had the police get a hold of them. They came in, they did file the paperwork, but it's just Utah, Oregon, Idaho, and Wyoming. So these are not local people. So my recommendation, my thought on this is a no. We'll vote on this on Wednesday. The next, I got this is a petition we got from some folks out on Little Brook Court, Holman Court. and they were complaining about noise. I had a meeting with the person who brought the petition to town hall. And I said I hadn't seen any complaints in the police blotter, because as everybody knows, I reviewed it every morning. And I said, if you need to make the complaints, and we have supplied the police and the fire inspector's office, the building inspector's office with a device that they can check the decibels to see where we are. So that's where I left that. Just as an aside for the board members, there's a big concert coming up in Newburgh on, I think it's September 6th, where the rodeo has been held, and they're looking for 6,000 people. So I can't imagine what's going to happen there on over Labor Day weekend, but that's a coming. I've had some discussions with the mayor, the city of Newburgh. They've actually asked our police department to come in and work there, and I told them no, absolutely not. And they don't think they contacted the sheriff's office, state police, and I don't think they got much of a response there either. So I just don't know what's going to happen on that date. Unfortunately for us, it's not under our control, but we certainly will be keeping an eye on it. And I actually thought the rodeo was done, but it's been kicking around, and I've been getting those complaints again about noise. And that's why I spoke to the mayor in Newburgh. He was listened to me and said that he would make some calls. He did call back and said he spoke to somebody. So we'll see how that goes. But I really think that this thing could turn into quite a debacle. I hope I'm wrong. So, okay, the next item on the agenda we kicked around is health benefits for elected officials. Last time we talked about part-time elected officials, which I think we consider to be town board members and judges, that they would not be having health benefits from the town anymore. So there was some question about grandfathering someone in who was here, Steve Moreau, and I think that that's not the case. So I don't know. And the other thing I'm a little concerned about is this 17-year thing. I had a short conversation with Councilman Padilla today about it, that in our union contracts, somehow it's in there that, is it free benefits for life after 17 years in the town? So now we have CSCA members and PBM members who now have free health benefits for life after they've been a town employee for 17 years. So now the question begs to be asked, the full-time elected officials, which would include the supervisor, receiver of taxes, the town clerk, and the highway superintendent, where are they? And just for me, on the record, I have never taken benefits from the town, so I just take the buyout and then I'm on my way. So would they have to be here 17 years? Or would they have to be here 20 years? So I think that we can either kick it around now, or you can let me know what you think.
I think if I remember last time correctly that we said, I agreed with, I think it's crazy that the full-time elected officials have to do more than either the part-timers
Yeah.
for
Yeah, that's-
full-time employees.
That's the point.
So I said, at least they can be leveled out down to, at the very least, to that. I believe both collective bargaining agreements are till the end of 2023. The PBA and the CCA, so, unless something's done with that, when we get closer to it, or whoever has to negotiate that, can sit and certainly say, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and move on and let the elected officials do the same thing, to keep everybody on the same playing table.
So that being said, what's your thoughts? Should it be 17 or 20?
Right now, for the elected, right now,
It said January 1st.
for the elected officials, they should be as, what everybody else is doing. They should not have to work more than anybody
17, you
else.
say?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when the collective bargaining agreements, and we're stuck with them. We have them, they're collective bargaining agreements, so they end in 2023. When they end, we can certainly negotiate. I'm thinking negotiate everybody. And those and
All
our,
right, well, I am not happy at all with that 17 years. How we got there, I think it's insane, but we're there. So that's your thought. So what do you say?
Should be fair across the board, and I agree that, hopefully, and when the contract time is up, we can renegotiate or change those terms, but it should be fair across the board, for the most part, although I think,
Well, elected officials, Stephen, do you have any thoughts?
No, you can answer her because I'd like to hear what you feel about what she's saying.
I am not crazy about the 17 years. And I never have been. I've said that from the day I walked in the door. I certainly see the argument on that side that if the people who are in the town, union people are 17, then why aren't the elected officials 17? Fortunately, a lot of elected officials don't last 17 years, so you may not get to that with a lot of people. But you could. I mean, the last few supervisors, no one got to 17 years.
You don't think they should be less, right? To get medical benefits for less? I mean,
Somehow, I'd like to get that out of that contract.
okay, well, out of what country? The collective bargaining?
Yeah,
I mean, I think we said we're stuck with it. That was negotiated in 2018 and we got it till 2023.
but by you, can you tell me why it's there?
Absolutely, because we presented it to the board, the town supervisor at the time,
Mhm.
who we negotiated. My job on that side of it was to negotiate a contract with the town. And I had
But
100
how did we get to 17?
I had
got
100
that.
people in my union that I had to do, that we had to ask. The 17 was actually thrown at us by the town to say, listen, we're negotiating contracts here. Would you like to do 17?
The town brought it up. They wanted to do take
Yeah.
it from 2017?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I said, all right, not a problem, whatever we want to do. And then the town supervisor informed the board at the time, which I don't think anybody here was on the board at the time that they did it.
Well, you were here.
And
You were here.
they did the medical benefits for the 17, I mean, the 17 years that he was getting.
No,
Prior
yeah,
to.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about
Yeah, he
the
wasn't.
contract that was signed in 18.
Yeah, I would say he was.
Okay, I guess the answer is no. I think it should be 20. No, I'm not gonna make something bad just because it was bad before. So yeah, you're 17, she's 17, and I'm 20.
So keep it the same.
No, yeah, I'm saying it should be 20.
Yeah, so it's 20 now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep it the same.
Well, if, we'll have to vote on it at some point in time.
I understand, but right
Okay.
now it's
I'm
20.
Just, right now, is it 20? I
Yeah.
guess it's 20.
Yeah,
Okay.
right now it's 20. So we're gonna keep it the same.
That would be my bet.
Fair enough.
All right, so listen, I'm gonna bring this back again. No, he said no.
No,
You
I
good?
just said,
Thank you.
All right,
I'm still a little bit,
okay.
so this was pertaining to full-time elected officials. What happens to the part-time elected officials?
Full-time elected officials right now have to do 20 years.
Okay.
In elected official spot to secure medical benefits after retirement.
But
That's-
full-time employees only have to be
Full-time
7.
employees have to be 17 years.
Okay, got it.
With the town.
How many years you here? 12. Okay.
16.
16. All right, so I don't know. It's just listen, the elected officials maybe don't make 17. I don't know. Because you have elections every couple of years and then they're out, in and out. All right, so you
Can I
know
ask a
what? We're gonna
question?
come back with this. I just trying to get, what do you mean?
Can I ask a question,
Yeah.
just so, is it all the employees or only those that fall under the agreement?
The union employees, yeah. all of
So
them, but then
non-union town employees?
we
what
have
happens to
always,
them?
yeah, we have always said those who don't fall under it get the same benefits as the others.
That
Another-
includes
yeah.
the 17 years.
Yeah, that would
away.
be like the supervisor secretary and. I
Okay,
forget-
that's why I just
yeah,
wanted to make
people
sure
like
that they're,
We didn't,
okay.
never wanted them to have any less than
Correct,
unionized employees,
yeah.
right? Okay, so
Thank you.
listen, that's where it is. We'll come revisit this again. All right, listen, we have that memorial for 9/11 at the town hall on 9/11 at 5 PM.
That's Sunday, correct?
I think it's a Saturday.
Saturday.
Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't suspect that this will be very long. Gonna just kind of honor our own first responders, would be the police, the fire, and the ambulance. We are dedicating a bench that will be placed in front of the flagpole of Town Hall. 5 o'clock, I'm guessing if we're here a half an hour, it'll be a long time, but I think in 20 years, we probably needed to do something. I mean, we always did something here. I don't know what happened the last few years, but we always kind of at least honored that day. So this being the 20th anniversary, there's a lot of places doing the 20th anniversary. Now with this debacle that happened over in Afghanistan, there's more people like aware all of a sudden. Maybe we weren't here 20 years ago. I was here 20 years ago. Pretty sad. So that'll be that. We didn't invite, committee didn't want to invite a lot of elected officials, so it's just kind of like if they show up, they show up. But obviously we invite our own elected officials. I'm that, it's good that we're doing, it's doing.
So it wasn't political, just so we know.
Well, that's what we're trying
That's
to
what we
do.
didn't
Yeah,
want
we're
it to
trying
be.
not to make it
Exactly.
political. You know
Shouldn't
what I
be.
mean? We weren't trying to leave anybody out, just was like, all right, listen, we're just talking about the people who died, whether they were first responders or in the building, and then people died later from illnesses, and so it's something that I think we should not forget, and most people don't. I would do this override tax limit again. This is just something that We have to have a public hearing, so we intend to call for a public hearing. And it doesn't mean that anything's happening. It just gives us the option when we do the budget that if we have to go over the tax levy limit, then we can, but doesn't mean that we're going over it. So I don't want people to think that, okay, oh, we're going, no, that's not the case. So we are right now in the process of putting together the budget. So that would be Jack Finnegan and Doreen Casey in the controller's office. They are in the process of doing that. We've sent out inquiries to all the department heads. They responded with their, what's usually referred to as a wish list. Jack and Doreen will pare it down a little bit. Then I'll get a look at it, probably pare it down some more, then share it with the board members. Then we will establish the budget. I mean, we had some good things happen. We had not some good thing happen. So we'll see where we are.
This has to be done in September, right?
Yeah.
Because October's too late to do it.
Yeah, we have to call, we call
Because
it, no, we do the public hearing in October,
Right.
but we have to call it now.
This
So-
for this. right.
And that's so, it's just a formality. I mean, I know last year, a couple of years ago, people got like
Yeah.
crazy with it, but it's just a formality. Okay. The ethics code, we were supposed to have a joint meeting tonight, which I canceled with the ethics board. But we have the code of ethics that is in play now. And the ethics board made some recommendations to the town board. And the key word there is recommendations. The ethics board only recommends to the town. They do not decide what's in there. The final decision is made by the town board members. I think that it's a good idea to have the ethics board looking to see what's going on. But at the end of the day, the five of us are elected to make the decisions that affect things. So I know that Councilman Bedetti, myself, and I've spoken to Steve Monroe and Sylvia, and Dave had some concerns about the code of ethics that was presented to us by the ethics board. So I am all for adopting a new code of ethics here as soon as we can kind of get it into play. I mean, we have at least resumed the disclosure forms, which seem to fall by the wayside for a number of years. They have, Kelly, everybody's in, right? So they are all in. So we now have them and they were all given to the ethics board, so they kind of looked at that. So, you had, Stephen, you had some issues that I know I discussed with Dave and you discussed with Dave, so you want to?
Yeah, I mean, Dave actually, some months ago, I asked if Dave would look at it as
Mhm.
well, on the attorney eye, and he obviously did a memorandum, to some of the, I don't want to say concerns, but some of his thoughts and everything, which were, sort of kind of in line with the proposed changes that I had marked up as well.
Mhm.
I think, and I'm assuming everybody has a copy of Dave's, his markups, but they, just in reference to some of the things that they're looking to take out of our hands, if you will, and I say our hands, the board. I can give you, for instance, there's on one of these sections here in 25(5)(e). Basically, they were looking to. I know there was unless somebody has it here, they might not understand it, but I know they were looking to add this section in here in its entirety. And there's a section here where it's determined by the Board of Ethics whether we hire somebody or not,
Mhm.
which I think is kind of,
No, yes, that's not right.
Yeah.
The people who are hired are determined by the five of us.
and that's in here. And it was something I think that I know, Dave did, obviously a little more educated write up on it than I had written here. But I agree with this section that that's something that either needs to be removed or somehow rewritten where they can.
Yeah, no, it's removed.
Yeah.
It's town board responsibility. That's why you're elected.
Yeah, exactly.
What else? You had something else?
Yeah, there was a.
How about the one about health benefits, right? Wasn't that on there? Who was?
There was health benefits in there too, which is contrary to what I think. There was one in there with the health benefits where that in order for elected officials to get health benefits, that it has to be able to be offered the same amount of health benefits to the public, the general public, which I think is kind of,
That's another one that needs to be out.
yeah, that I don't think is even possible. Then there's this section in here that they have, a section here where elected officials, it says here in the event that a relative is employed by the town prior to the town elected official, department head or other town supervisors taking officer possession, personal employer prior to the effective date of this section will not be affected by this policy. In the event that the individual is employed by the town prior to said individual. So there's a number of, exceptions to a rule here, if you
Right.
will. Anyone hired from civil service competitive list and go on and so forth. Yeah, I don't know if I think this section actually honestly needs to be rewritten, because there's a bunch of things in here where it says that you can't, basically if you're a department head, I know it says it in here now, right now it's grandfathered in. So being like, say you boss the judge around, or if Anthony's kid works and he bosses him around, or the lieutenant has his son works in there. I can give you a number of instances that we've had fathers and sons and brothers and sisters and never had one problem in New Windsor, ever, with people with family doing it like that, ever. Suddenly, 100 years later in town, that was an issue in 2021. And I don't know, and that was one of the reasons I said that I'd like to see why the ethics board and to ask them basically what was, where was the issue? Was there a specific clause or something that somebody complained about or they saw that? I think we need to know, before we.
I think they were talking about, and I only had one short meeting with them, they're talking about too many relatives here. And sometimes it's hard to say who's responsible for what employee at some point. Like me, I'm responsible for everybody. But the elected officials, like her boss, I'm not the judge's boss, you know what I mean? But everybody else, but everybody works for her, they work for the town, so that's me. So I think that, David, I think that you have all the comments from myself and Stephen. So I think I would like you to kind of rewrite this and get that stuff out of there that we're talking about.
There's a point you just said, I want to
Go
make
ahead.
sure you recall what you said the last time, and I agree what you said the last time, and I think you will as well. You are in charge, but I think you delegate to say Anthony to hire somebody, and you say, look, Anthony, you do the interview, you talk to them, make sure they're good for you, I'm going to be behind you.
Yeah.
Not that guy doesn't work for you, but when it comes down to the hierarchy, you're going to say, so technically there's that part where you're going to count on the department heads to handle who
Absolutely.
they're going to hire. It turns out that right as we're in the middle of all this, my nephew gets hired. So in 10 years, just say I'm still running them on, that the board says, hey, your relative works here. I'm gonna say I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, matter of fact, you actually recuse yourself.
Right,
Well,
correct. But the point is that these things happen, and I think in towns you have relatives that work for the town.
I think the problem is that there's actually civil service comes into play here. There's civil service list, and then
I
there's
brought that
the
up,
do
yeah.
you a favor because you're the relative list. And the fact is that when there's people that are on civil service lists, and we're saying that,
You
like,
can't penalize somebody.
no,
because they're
exactly.
relevant.
And in Dave's
Right.
example, there's things in here, basically, I give you, for instance, me, I'm a part-time cop in another town. Somebody gets elected in this spot under the new proposal, they can't work here. They can't be elected here and do that. They don't want them to be able to be that person, or you can't hire that person. I think it's
I think
insane.
anybody who gets elected is elected. It doesn't matter who's what. The
No.
people now have selected you.
I understand it,
to
but
be
then
the council.
any of those people can't work here. It's just, I think some of this definitely, and Dave, to be quite honest with you, Dave, when Dave gave us his write-up on it, he was right on, and the things that I think we agreed on that needs. to
So
be-
I think I'm gonna answer your question in a minute, but I think what I just said to Dave is where we're going. So he knows what the comments are. Here's my comments, here's your comments. If Steve or Sylvia wants to give it to him, then you can kind of take a look at those sections and get it to what we're talking about. I mean, it's very clear that the board is responsible for hiring people. Board is responsible for health benefits, right? And I think some of these things about, there may be too many exceptions here. So we take a look at that. So the ball's gonna be in your court now. To kind of, in a
I just
minute.
need to ask one question before you finish
Yeah.
up.
So to take a look at what the ethics board has done and the comments that have been bandied around by myself and Stephen and you say.
So I think I'm clear on just about all of sections that you want me to take a look at,
Mhm.
except for eight to
Which one is that? What does it say?
25-5, some eight.
Of
It
another
says
town?
no elected official shall hold another paid position of employment with the town of New Windsor or paid position of employment with any department, office, division, board, or agency of the United States of America, New York State, any town or village government, or public benefit corporation created provisions of New York State law.
Okay,
If
Might be a
you
little
want
broad.
me to leave that alone, I'll certainly leave it alone.
No.
I did express,
Yeah.
some concerns with regards to that being very, very broad.
I have that written here, too broad.
Doesn't that hit you?
So you want me to?
Yeah.
revise
Yeah,
it?
well, that's,
Doesn't that hit you too?
It's super, I wrote down my comments, too
Yeah,
broad.
like that's
yeah,
that's
so
crazy. in my opinion.
if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's civil service law that you can't hold two positions for the town you work for, two paid positions. So for instance, if you're a employee, I'll give you, for instance, we've had people that worked in the town here, whether it be in the fire inspector's office, we'll say, and then work part-time in the police department. They weren't allowed to do that because we were cited civil service law. So I'm assuming that those same town employees can't work here and do something else, whether it be work in a court or wherever.
Oh, so listen, how about you? There should be an exception if someone's elected.
Yeah, well, that's why it says, but here it says no elected
I
official.
know, it has to be, if you're elected, then the people have elected you.
So
Right.
I get that, but here, this is trying to, so me being a cop in another town, I get elected now? I can't with this new proposal. I think it's crazy.
As I just said.
Yeah,
it's
right.
too
I
broad.
think it should be,
David's gonna take a look at it and rewrite it. And what will happen once you rewrite it? I'll meet with you, probably Jess. Send it around to the board members for comments, and we'll try and pair it to where we have to get it to. There's, you know what I'm saying? We really, to me, the most important thing was getting the disclosure forms in. I mean, the language and stuff, things maybe don't look right to some people, they're okay with other people, depending on what's going on.
well, we handed them in 2020, right? We started them in.
What's that?
The disclosure forms. Last year they were handed in.
I handed them every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean, prior to that, there was, no.
Oh, I'm just saying,
No,
I know,
I did them every year.
I know my first year I did it.
Didn't you do them? Yeah, yeah. I did them for 4 years. I have them in there.
Okay, well, I can say that they weren't for everybody. I'm not gonna go, but I'll take your word for it, but they weren't done for everybody. Like, they weren't, now there's a list.
I probably have copies of every year.
No, I'm
There's
saying,
no records, there's a big gap of time.
no, if he said he put it in, he put it in. What I'm saying is everybody, department heads and everybody else didn't do it. So now we are doing it. So that's what we're going on that, David? Clear? Yeah,
So
go ahead.
Dave, just a couple of things here. Can you, I don't know if we need to define town officer. I know we discussed, because there's officer, there's elected official, department head. I don't know if it's just, it seems like, so the reason I ask that is because I have 5 different towns ethics codes, town of Warwick, town of Montgomery, I went through all these, town of Woodbury, town of Cornwall, and all of them, it seems like they're all the same. It's like they took a boilerplate and everybody used town officer, and I don't know what that
So
means.
you want me to try to come up?
If
with
we come up-
Like a definition? for
Yeah, if we
each
can-
of the referenced, positions?
Yeah, right. So, I mean, I think there's something in there that we just copied and pasted and didn't say. And just one more thought, and I just wanted to throw this around. I noticed that a lot of these towns, most of them have 5 people on their boards and some have 3. Some people
What
have
board?
on the ethics
Okay.
boards, and some have town employees and some don't. I'm just wondering what the thought is, and I just got thinking this day, wrote some notes on it and everything about the town employee on it. My opinion, should not be a department head, should not be somebody of,
It should be a female on that board, I think. There
at
should
least
be-
just in a plain old employee. Somebody that doesn't have a stake in the game, that doesn't have, not in charge of hiring people, not in charge of a department. I just think,
You can go
especially if they're
further up,
doing
right?
something for that department.
Why should there be a town?
That's another, there's some of them here that don't have them. Matter of fact, I think it was the town of, I think Woodbury has 5. 2 of them can, only 2 people in the same political party. I mean, they break it up
Yeah.
nice. I'm not saying that that's
I don't
not,
have a dog in that fight. Maybe there shouldn't be any employee.
I think it should be a female and it should be, it doesn't matter to me if they're an employee or not. I do agree that it shouldn't be a department head. That doesn't make.
no,
much-
because I think,
Thanks.
that,
Here's the problem. If you put someone who's an employee, he or she answers to a department.
So
So
then
then
take it
they're-
out, make them all residents.
well,
it's
because
fine.
now that employee who's on the ethics board could be somebody going there that's a town board member. And now that person can be like, oh, whoa, hold on, this town board member, I have to interview and he's
So
in
maybe
charge
the
of me.
best thing is that they shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. It should
I
be,
don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with most of the stuff that they have. It just, I thought overstepped a little bit. So I have a few minor comments too about disclosure forms for spouses and things like that, but I think those are the main things that we talked about. So we need to get them ironed out. And then we can come back again and talk about some of the smaller items that are on here. But I really would like to get it put to bed at some point.
I have a
Yeah.
point in here, page 13 of the attachment talks about the minutes, and I just think it's super important that they follow the rules that they have in this, that they take the minutes and have the minutes.
Oh, well, yeah, I think I mentioned to you today that I spoke to Franny Roth, who does our zoning and planning.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah,
And
okay.
she has agreed to take the minutes at the ethics board.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how, even the past interviews they did were great, except,
I don't think they ever had anybody take the minutes. At least in my
well, I mean, it's in
recollection.
this here.
No, but I'm just saying, I can't ever remember
It's,
anybody.
I mean, it's a meeting. I mean, it should,
What, is that from the state?
yeah, right here.
Yeah, but it may be recommendations. I don't know that it's, you have to do this, you must do it, you must do it. I think.
But it's so important because you're talking about something that's not documented, recorded, and it's, we're basically opinions without factual evidence,
All right, so it's been addressed anyway. She'll be in there
Okay.
to take that and that'll be
Thank
into
you.
that. And the thing with employees hiring people, I guess the point I was made last meeting is that if Jennifer Gallagher wants to hire some building inspector, I want her to interview them. And then I'll talk to them and I want her to tell me who she wants.
Right.
Because if they don't work out, then I'm like, hey, you hired them, so fix it. And that pretty much is the way I've always done business. If somebody under me wanted to hire somebody, you decide who it is. If I think they're okay, then don't come to me and say, why did you saddle me with this guy? I've seen that many times in my former life.
Mhm.
Made me promote this guy or this woman, and now I'm stuck with him. No, you hired him, not me.
Uh-huh.
All right, so David, that's where we are with that. All right, we're gonna go into executive session now, so just the board members to be here and everybody else. I'll see you around the campus.